This is spectacular. Oh. People that have impacted the lives of many Black people. It's phenomenal. True inspirations.
Hi.
How are you? Good, good. How are you?
It's beautiful. Oh, wow. My gosh. It's beautiful.
Isn't it incredible?
It is.
Hey! Nice to see you.
Richard.
All good, man.
February is known as Black History Month. But what does that mean? To understand the deeper meaning of this month, it's important for us to have people here from the Black community and to speak with you and to engage. We're here to have open conversations, and we believe it's important to hear your stories, and that sharing stories leads not only to healing, but also to celebration. I just want to take a moment to welcome everybody to this roundtable discussion.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What element about Black history is of particular importance to you or resonates with you that you would want to share?
Can I start?
Absolutely.
There was slavery in Canada. Les gens refusent d'y croire, mais il y en a eu de l'esclavage au Canada. Ensuite, j'aimerais partager que le pays de mes ancêtres, le pays de mes parents, Haïti, c'est le pays où, en 1804, c'est la première révolution noire qui a été non seulement un succès, mais le premier pays où les esclaves ont dit non, ça suffit.
The Canadian history, a big piece of it is going to be the Black history, the Black experience. Oftentimes, the Black history of the Canadian history and that timeline is often missed. And I have some challenges with how the Blackness is defined. Because what happens, that narrative is controlled oftentimes from the mainstream. So how the mainstream define Black History Month and what that looked like, comparatively, if it's Black History Month is discussed in a household or at the place of worship or something, it totally looks different.
I grew up in Nigeria, and I think that in some ways I am lucky to have spent my most formative years in Nigeria, growing up around family. I would say in some sense, I did not feel as Black as I feel now being in a not so Black country. I didn't realize the stereotypical things that were being said about Black people until I was in those environments. And people apologizing for stuff that I didn't realize had negative, degrading connotations. Like people would ask questions like, is it okay to call you Black? And then I would have to internalize and think, well, why the question? Why would it not be okay for you to call me Black? What else would you rather call me? And is there something wrong with being Black and you as a person don't get seen? It's almost like someone is in a hurry to put you in an also familiar box.
One of the things that you raised that really resonated with me was the idea of being very visible but invisible all at the same time.
That spoke to me.
Je me sens non seulement pas vue, mais je me sens fatiguée. C'est une fatigue parfois qui semble être extrême.
I'm so happy that you mentioned exhausted. I think that this is what drives me, in my experience, to end up moving from one job to another, because you never feel like you've settled in any role. And I sometimes just wish that people would, in their own interest, do some research.
Yes.
We can't be the teacher to 1,000, 10,000 people. And it's exhausting.
That's the theme.
Yeah.
That frequently is the theme.
And I don't know if anybody also notices that most of the time, I notice it, that Africa is not, people don't see it as about 50 different countries.
Right.
Non.
all they see is Africa.
That's it, yeah.
And years ago, I had somebody actually ask me if I see lions and tigers when I step out of my backyard,
Wow.
Right.
when I go back home.
Right.
And I was baffled. I had to ask him again, are you serious?
Now I feel bad because when I was going to university, I had Nigerian friends and I was speaking to them in French. I mean, I was going to Concordia University, which is an English university. And I couldn't understand why he wasn't speaking French because all the Africans that I had met were from French-speaking countries.
Yeah.
Africa is rich and so many different countries and
Languages.
cultures and languages.
Right, sure.
And I actually fell into that.
But I think it's important, that part of acknowledgement, right? Is to believe, to really say that, you know what, everybody is vulnerable to falling into certain types of stereotypes, right? And this is where what you said to me and about the importance of educating yourself comes into play.
One of the things I experienced was people would genuinely question and critique whether your credentials that were earned outside of Canada were genuine. You know, how do I know that you do have a bachelor's of aerospace engineering? You have to keep proving yourself over and over again beyond what I think is reasonable.
I pray my son doesn't have to grow up and experience this. This conversation needs to be had so that we can teach people our experience and what needs to change, what needs to happen.
You know, I just sitting here, I observed how similar some of our backgrounds are, but also how different. It would be so erroneous for me to assume that both of you are the same identical individual. And it would be a shame because I would be missing out on getting to know Richard and getting to know Antoinette if I just assume that everything about you is going to be the same.
That's right. That's good. This is amazing. This forum that we're having here, just having these conversations is a platform that we can use to inform people of how we feel. And I don't think it's intentional, but it's so ingrained that it just becomes natural. And this is what we want people to understand, that we are hurting, we matter.
It really is something that I think comes out clearly in this conversation. So as you can see around the room, there are some lovely images that have been hung of people who have really been influential within the Black community. And I would love it if you could take a moment to just pick one of the images and speak to it. You know, talk a little bit about why you find it inspirational or why the picture speaks to you.
I'm gonna go with Maya Angelou. That look, I've seen looks like that from my sisters, my mother, strangers. And that look tells me, it speaks to me in a deep way, and it's a continuous, we have to go on. We gotta keep going on. We have to see it through till the end.
Nelson Mandela, one of my many heroes, smiling in the face of adversity. That's what that's telling me right there. After all that he's been through, he still rose up and became the president of South Africa. And that in itself is so powerful, because my theory is you look at a glass either half empty or half full. And he always chose to look at it half full. And he kept pushing and believing. And with everything that he believed, it brought him to this place. And he became a hero to the world.
Went on to be like a mentor and just somebody that everybody admired, you know? And the most thing that I feel proud of is how he forgave everybody.
Powerful.
He forgave with purpose.
Yes.
Nina Simone. She's an artist. She was a jazz singer, pianist. She was also quite revolutionary. I know she, like many of the people that are displayed, She had to fight lots of things, especially in her time. What I like about that particular picture, there's joy, genuinely joy. The way she wears her hair, all natural. She didn't care back then because you had to wear your hair a certain way in order to fit in, and she didn't care. She reminds me of my mother. I think that's why I'm particularly drawn to that picture.
I would like to talk about this beautiful couple there because it symbolizes the importance of the family unit, and it symbolizes to me strength in being vulnerable. It shows possibility, what is possible, even beyond what has been done before. And for me, it shows me how impactful you can be if you pay that price and follow through with that dream, despite or in spite of all the challenges that you face. It's about making do, which I think is what, all these people have in common. They somehow manage to make do, to draw strength where others fail to do so. And I think that that's an inspiration for everybody in Canada, Black or not Black. I think that ability to realize that there is some reservoir, and it's in most people, that ability to draw when it seems like there's nothing left to draw. When you learn to survive and thrive in environments that force you to do so, you learn to draw from your own personal reservoir. So for me, I think it's hitting me a bit different. I didn't think that I would have this emotional response to being in a room like this, but to see all these people that have thrived, different ages, different gender, different work and facets of life, music, politics, and just to see all of them and to realize that it's like when you're cheering for your home team, and there's like a joy that you get, and it's a beautiful thing.
What do you see as allyship? What do you expect of somebody who's really going to step up?
Those who appreciate, they have the understanding, but importantly, not keep us in a box. We're fascinating to somebody or to a group, but the allies will go beyond just the fascination and say that this person's a person, they have a skill set, they have a mission, they have a goal, they have potential.
You need to exercise extreme amounts of patience when you have these conversations. Listen, that's what allyship is. You need to listen to the person who's been disadvantaged, and you need to understand how they want to be helped. I know it can be daunting sometimes because you have your own plan of how you want to help someone, but in this realm, it's really important. You need to actually listen and take criticism.
That's right.
When it comes down to it, the stories that we share, a lot of whether it's their grandparents or their parents or a lot of times it's not the same struggle, but there's barriers to overcome, and they'll see that there's that human experience that makes us all the same.
Well said.
We have to let go of these predispositions and our hang-ups about what we think we know about the Black experience, and listen, be teachable, and be willing to do your own research as to why we're here and what you need to do to, help the process go forward. Listening takes strength, it takes humility. We can't teach everybody. What we do know, we share with our friends and our coworkers, our colleagues, because we love them. But it's not our job to teach you about everything and every experience. But again, with love, we share what we do know and what we want you to know. And if you're willing to listen and accept what we're saying, then we can move forward together.
I agree.
I am a teacher and I do enjoy doing that, but sometimes it's difficult for people to follow when the person leading is Black. And it's almost like you have to work a bit harder to earn their trust, to earn their respect, and to earn their followership. So even when we do get into this leadership roles, it can be very uncomfortable having to work that extra 10, 20%, and you do not see that same demand from your non-Black colleagues who are in leadership. And I think this is where I think visibility is very important, because sometimes it's not out of spite. It's out of, people are not used to that being the figure that passes on the information. And so what will it take for this to be the face of credibility? What would it take for this to be the face of truth? Every 6 months when I have about 50 or 60 new students, I go around and I ask them, how did you hear about this program? Why aircraft maintenance? And I am genuinely shocked a lot of times. I'm expecting something superficial, like, I just love the sounds of engine revving, or that sound of aviation, or the smell of aviation gas. But oftentimes the resounding answer is one of my uncles, one of my cousins, one of my brothers. People are more likely to connect to a career role if they know someone personally who is into that and who is deemed relatively successful. We need to encourage Black youth to be more courageous in pursuing what it is that they love. We're going to work at it as a community, as a country, to bring from both ends. So from one end, increasing the representation. But in the meantime, we need to encourage Black youth to forge their own path.
Right.
Do not be afraid to go against the grain.
That's right.
And just generally discard that idea or that thought that you are not enough and that you are not capable.
It takes a lot of courage and strength to go against the current, and it's not everyone who has that courage, that confidence in themselves, and that's where the community comes in, where they encourage the young. Yes, you can. Yes, it's possible. You can go outside of the box.
I think my favorite part of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I know they're all related, is inclusion. I love inclusion because of how it makes other people, even outside of your circle, feel. I've had students who come to me and say, I don't know how to say this to you, but just seeing you here as a Black instructor being so excellent, even though I'm not Black, it just makes me feel like I can accomplish anything. And I know it's kind of backhanded in some way, but I love the fact that Black excellence goes out to everybody. It lets everybody feel like, okay, if he can do it, then I can do it. And that for me is one of the joys of what I do. I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that now the focus is moving a bit to Indigenous Canadians. How are they going to be integrated into the workforce, into aviation in specific, flight pilots, aircraft mechanics? The fact that we're doing this work, that you guys are out there doing this work to make Black excellence a thing that is visible and prominent, it doesn't stop at Black inclusion. It invites everybody else in, and that is absolute gold.
It's a whole program.
Be the best version of yourself. Do things selflessly without looking for a payback. Pour into others and watch the seed grow. You're here to bless, to be a blessing, and to make other people the best version of themselves by you being the best version of yourself.
I have shivers.
We all need to strive to be true to ourselves, and we all need to strive to improve. And I see it as a great opportunity that we can all include other people. From the bottom of my heart, I love this country, Canada. And I strongly believe that I've been Canadian before I ever got to Canada. There's a part of me that always was Canadian. And that's why the day that I was able to swear the oath and actually become a Canadian citizen, it meant so much to me because I really, really love everything about this country. And that inclusion, that ability to be included is a beautiful thing. And we can't change the world all in one go, but a society that thrives is a society that's not designed only for the exceptional people.
That's right.
So the society has to look after those who may not appear to be exceptional.
Well said.
That's good.
I'm confident, and this is affirmation for me that we're going in the right direction.
I'm taking notes here.
My take home from this is when you hear diversity, equity, and inclusion, it comes from a love that we all have for this great country. And it's not to pull people back into pain, but rather it's to push us forward into a place of peace where people can get a job and not have to worry about all the other exterior pains that come from being different while doing that job.
That's right.
And that's where I've come since we started this conversation, is that nobody here is bitter. It's really coming from a place of love. We love Canada and we want it to be better for everyone.
That's right. The word that encompasses how I feel is empowered. I feel empowered to be the change that I want to see. Right. I feel empowered to make a difference based on the fact that a platform was given to us to be able to speak. Right. I feel empowered to make a change for another generation that's coming. And I feel empowered to speak to all areas that we're facing with people who are willing to work with us and listen to us. And I feel empowered that these things will happen based on the fact that we have the passion to do it. Right. And we will do it.
We just got to keep on focusing on inclusion. And the fact that we have this department, diversity, inclusion, alone speaks volumes. I've been out of Canada for 15 years, and we never had this department before. And the fact that we have it now, and we have these sessions,
Right.
That's right.
it's a big plus. And it makes me proud. I feel my son coming up will gain something from this.
That's right.
So I just hope this continues.
I want to be able to look back and there be a time where Black Canadian youth have made undeniable contributions to this country
Yes.
in every facet.
Yeah.
To a point where it's no longer a conversation of competence, and that's no longer a demerit, the color of your skin at all, even to people who may have biases. I want there to be a time where it's cut clear that given the right environment, everybody can contribute tremendously to the growth and improvement of Canada and the world.
I'm hoping that those seeing what we have to say, that they relate to what we're saying, they connect to what we're saying, and inspired by what we're saying, because they're not alone. And you know, these are just our stories, but there are other stories out there too. And to just be a part of something to facilitate our dreams to see the end goal. and hopefully build on the momentum that's carrying here, not just Black History Month of one single month, 2023, but going forward and seeing the bigger picture. That's what I hope.
I agree. Nothing to elaborate, 100% what he said.
Thank you, everybody, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this. I'm very proud to be able to participate and be able to voice my opinions and whatever I contributed. I hope somebody gained something from it. I'm really proud to be here today.
Love.